Hello everyone and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on defining communities, geographic, cultural, and virtual. Today, we'll explore the essential bonds that bring us together, from neighborhoods to nations, and from traditions to technology. Over the next few slides, we'll look at how these different types of communities shape our lives and connections. So let's get started. So what exactly is a community? At its core, it's about social connection, people coming together around shared interests, values, or goals that help create meaningful bonds. These bonds are what give a community its strength and character. Communities aren't one-dimensional. They have multiple layers or dimensions. They can be defined by physical location, like a neighborhood or a town, but they can also be based on shared culture or even virtual networks that connect people across borders. This flexibility allows communities to take many forms, adapting to how we live and interact today. Now, the core purpose of a community is really important. It provides a sense of identity for its members, offering support and a profound feeling of belonging. That sense of belonging is fundamental. It shapes how we see ourselves and how we relate to others. Throughout this presentation, we'll see how communities are the building blocks of society. They influence our interactions, help us define who we are, and give our daily lives meaning. Understanding this helps us appreciate the vital role communities play in shaping not just individual lives, but society as a whole. Let's talk about geographic communities, which are essentially defined by physical proximity. These are the neighborhoods, towns, cities, or regions where people live close enough to interact regularly. The defining factor here is shared space, places where community members come together naturally. Members of these communities often engage through local institutions like schools, markets, parks, and community centers. These are the hubs that foster daily face-to-face interactions and help build strong neighborhood relationships. Another key aspect is that residents usually share environmental and civic concerns, which creates a sense of collective responsibility for local development. For example, in a small town, people might depend on local schools, farmers' markets, and seasonal social events to maintain their community bonds. However, balancing social cohesion with economic viability is a real challenge for these communities. It's about maintaining a sense of togetherness while also ensuring the community remains sustainable and prosperous over time. As we see, geographic communities are vital because they form the foundation for shared identity and local engagement within the larger society. Cultural communities are fascinating because they go beyond just geographic boundaries. They bring people together through shared language, traditions, religion, or ethnicity. These bonds are powerful. They create what Durkheim called a collective conscience, which basically means a set of shared beliefs and norms that guide how we behave and help us feel connected to one another. For example, language plays a huge role. When communities share dialects or linguistic traditions, they not only preserve their heritage, but also deepen their sense of connection. Traditions and rituals, like ceremonies or holidays, serve to reinforce these shared values and keep the collective memory alive across generations. Religion and ethnicity are also key, providing spiritual practices and ancestral ties that create lasting bonds. Take the Jewish community in Brooklyn, for instance. They maintain strong connections through their shared Yiddish language, religious observances, and cultural customs, which often cross geographic boundaries. All these elements, language, traditions, religious and ethnic bonds, help strengthen a community's identity. They remind us that shared values and practices are essential in uniting people, regardless of where they are in the world, and tie back to our overall theme of how communities build cohesion through shared identity. Culture as the heartbeat of community is such a powerful concept. It's really about how our traditions and customs give life to our neighborhoods and groups. These cultural traditions aren't just rituals. They're the foundation that allows our identities to thrive. When we celebrate and pass down these traditions, we're preserving our heritage and strengthening our sense of belonging. It's through this continuous exchange that the community stays vibrant and connected across generations. So, in essence, culture is what keeps the spirit of the community alive and evolving. let's talk about virtual communities and how they go beyond just geography. These are social networks that are formed online, allowing people to connect across physical boundaries. What's fascinating is that these connections are based on shared interests, goals, or identities, rather than where someone is located. These digital spaces use technology to create meaningful relationships that primarily exist in cyberspace. Think about connection points like forums and discussion boards focused on niche interests, or social media groups and online movements that bring people together around common causes. Gaming communities and virtual worlds also serve as vibrant spaces for interaction, as do professional networks and platforms designed for collaboration. Howard Rheingold, a pioneer in this field, once described social aggregations as webs of personal relationships that emerge when enough people engage in public discussions over time, with genuine human feeling. This process helps transform online interactions into meaningful communities. Historically, this evolution started back in 1979 with the emergence of Usenet newsgroups, which were among the first online discussion forums. Then, in 1985, the Well created one of the first thriving virtual communities. By 1993, Rheingold's definition really helped shape how we understand these spaces. And today, billions of people worldwide are connected through social platforms, gaming, and specialized networks. So, virtual communities are more than just online spaces. They are vital parts of how we build relationships and share ideas in the digital age. Now, let's explore the concept of geographic virtual communities and the idea of the hybrid space. Virtual communities are often thought of as completely separate from physical locations, but that's not always the case. Many online spaces actually reflect and even reinforce local ties, creating these hybrid environments where digital interaction enhances our physical proximity. For example, we have local knowledge-sharing platforms, online spaces where neighbors can exchange recommendations, safety updates, or community news. Then, there are geographic-based networks, which are interest groups centered around specific locations, like regional hiking clubs or neighborhood associations. To understand how these online communities relate to physical spaces, researchers use spatial social analysis, often through geographic information systems, or GIS. GIS helps us see how virtual communities map onto real-world geography. A good example is online biking communities. They share trail maps, local conditions, and meetup locations, blending virtual connections with geographic knowledge. This shows how these hybrid communities leverage technology to strengthen local bonds. Ultimately, it demonstrates that digital and physical spaces don't have to replace each other. Instead, they can work together to enhance our sense of community and connection. Let's take a closer look at the key features that unite different types of communities. Despite their many differences, all communities share some core characteristics that help create a sense of cohesion and purpose among members. First, shared identity is fundamental. Whether it's based on culture, geography, or common interests, members recognize themselves as part of something larger than themselves. This shared sense of identity helps build connection and loyalty. Next, social interaction plays a crucial role. Communication can happen face-to-face or through digital platforms, but the goal is to foster connection and maintain bonds. These interactions keep the community active and engaged. Third, communities are driven by common goals and values. Members come together around shared purposes, beliefs, or aspirations, which guide their collective actions and decisions. This sense of purpose is what keeps the community focused and motivated. Finally, defined boundaries help establish who belongs. These boundaries might be physical, like proximity, cultural markers, or virtual membership criteria. Clearly defining membership helps maintain a sense of belonging and identity within the community. So, even with all their differences, these features provide a foundation for community cohesion and shared purpose, tying everything together in a meaningful way. Now, let's explore why understanding communities is so crucial. First, there's the social foundation. Communities shape who we are, support us through life's challenges, and influence our decisions. They help define our personal identity and play a key role in our support networks. For those of us working in marketing, policy, or social planning, recognizing different community types allows us to connect more genuinely with people. When we understand their unique contexts, our outreach becomes more authentic and effective. As we look at the evolving landscape, technology is constantly transforming how communities form and interact. We see traditional boundaries blending with digital spaces, creating new opportunities and challenges. In today's world, understanding the strengths of geographic, cultural, and virtual communities is more important than ever. It helps us build inclusive, resilient societies that can adapt to change. And it's important to remember, communities aren't static. They adapt, merge, and evolve as members' needs change, all while maintaining that fundamental human desire for connection and belonging. Recognizing this fluidity is key to engaging with communities meaningfully in our increasingly complex world. As we look at communities in a connected world, we see that they come in different forms, each playing a vital role in shaping our human experience. First, there are the geographic communities, which are rooted in physical places, our neighborhoods, towns, and shared spaces where we connect face to face. These local roots give us a sense of belonging and stability. Then, there are cultural communities, which are built around heritage and collective identity. These groups help preserve our traditions and values, creating a sense of shared history and purpose that transcends physical boundaries. Next, we have virtual communities, digital bonds that cross borders and connect us through technology. These online spaces allow us to form relationships and collaborate regardless of where we are in the world. What's important to understand is that communities evolve but remain essential to human connection. Each type, geographic, cultural, and virtual, brings its own strengths, enriching our lives in unique ways. By embracing all of these forms, we promote inclusion, resilience, and a shared purpose that strengthens our collective human experience. Ultimately, I believe that building bridges across these different communities is key to creating a richer, more connected future for everyone.